I thought, oh my god, what am I gonna do? I got stomach ache. I cried for 2 days. By the time of this video, I have invested my money since over 6 years. I really actually thought it was 6 years, but when I was doing research for this video, I actually found out that it's been over 10 years now. And that's about a multiple 6-figure amount invested. So 10 years of investment experience. Here are the mistakes I made. Mistake number 1 was investing into a product with high costs and low return. So when I was still a student, my family had transferred some money into my account, and suddenly there was more money than I was used to. And I think I panicked a little bit and I thought, oh no, I need to invest that money before I spend it all. And about that time, I got a call from an investment advisor from my local bank where I was at the time. So I met with him and he was very nice. And he said, here we have this retirement fund where you can invest your money, and it's very flexible. You can invest your money like once a year, twice a year, every month. If you want, you can also make additional investments apart from the recurring transfers. If you need to, you can also put that money out except for a certain threshold. And you can also decide on a portion with a fixed interest rate and another portion with a flexible interest rate, where you can decide in which fund's going to be invested, and then that portion grows with the performance of the fund. And I thought, yeah, that sounds really good. I'm not tying up my money for the rest of my life. It's very flexible. I can put money in, I can take money out. I can have a safe part with a fixed interest rate, and I can also have a risky part where it's invested in funds. So I said yes, and overall I invested a 5-figure sum into this product. And then it went like this for a couple of years, and at some point I decided to really go deeper into investing and to do all the research. And that was the time when I took a closer look into this investment, and I did something that I didn't do before. I actually read the contract. And then I found out the fund I chose has a yearly cost of 1.5%. Then to set up the whole thing, to invest in this product in the first place, it cost me a 4-digit figure. And then just running the whole thing also cost a 2-digit figure every year. And when I found out, I was shocked. I thought, oh my god, what am I gonna do? I got stomach ache. I cried for 2 days. I lost a 4-figure amount in that investment, and I was still a student. Back then, that was a lot of money for me. So what I did, I went to an insurance advisor to check the whole thing. And they told me to keep the investment because selling a product like this, especially in the early stage, is very expensive, because you pay all the costs in the beginning and only after that it starts to grow a little bit. And they also advised me to stop the yearly payments and to just let it be. So that's what I did, and at the time I was okay with it and I thought it an okay solution. But what it actually did, it led me to my second mistake, and that was holding on to that investment for longer than I should have. And the reason I did that was loss aversion. So what loss aversion means is that it's much harder for us to lose something than is the pleasure of gaining something. So being afraid of losing something is a real psychological thing. Funnily enough, that's also a rule of Warren Buffett, who is one of the greatest investors of our time. And that rule is to never lose money. But here is what strikes me as a real paradox of investing. Because we're trying to hold on to a bad investment so that we don't lose, and we hope that it's still going to return to green numbers. But what we actually need to do is to take the loss, to first not lose even more, and to second, allow the remaining money to gain. Because we are investing so that we can gain more money than we put in the first place. So a couple of years later, I talked to a friend, and he is a very numbers driven guy, and he told me to sell the whole thing because I can put that money to better work than it was at that time. And that's what I eventually did. And for the whole time I still hold on to that investment, I also paid opportunity cost. And that is something we don't take into account when it comes to loss aversion, is that by the same time we're holding on to something, we actually lose something else we didn't do. But even if it took me some time, I'm happy that I went through all of this, and I'm also happy with the decision to selling it all and putting it into a low-cost index fund, because the return in 20 or 30 years from now will be much bigger than it would have if I had kept that investment. Mistake number 3 I made was not investing sooner. And it does sound a little bit cliche, and it's probably something every investor regrets at some point. But I was a student for a very long time. I lived very frugal, and for some reason I thought that I couldn't invest until I earned my own money. And even though I had a job when I was a student and I earned a little bit of money, I somehow thought it's not enough to invest. But the truth is, no matter what state you're in, you will probably receive money somehow. And no matter the source, if it's earning your own money money, if it's pocket money from your parents or if it's money from the state, you can always develop a system to save and invest, even if it's just $10 a month. The heck, even if it's just $5 a month. Mistake number 4 I made was saving but not investing. And there was a time where I already had implemented a system to save money, but I didn't immediately invest it in the stock market. And I personally don't consider this a huge mistake because my time horizon is still very long. And for me, it was also absolutely okay to take a few months to do the research and get comfortable and confident with the investment strategy that I set for myself. But still, I had decided on my asset allocation very early. I wanted to have a 20% risk-free and an 80% risky. And I didn't realize this allocation as soon as I could have. So that is also something I want to try and act on the future. Invest immediately if it fits my asset allocation. Because at that time, I was also paying opportunity cost by, for example, keeping cash in the investment account but not investing it. And mistake number 5 that relates a little bit to mistake number 4 is learning but not acting right away. You might heard of the notion time in the market is better than timing the market, and that was something that I learned pretty early, and still I kept investment with a lower return longer than I needed to. And I think that's actually a big and also an important lesson, because oftentimes we already know what we need to do, but for some reason we don't do it. So what I try to regularly ask myself, am I already acting on what I learned? Am I applying my knowledge? Because not knowledge is power. Applied knowledge is power. On that note, if there are still fears that are holding you back from investing, I recommend this video next. I thank you for watching. I hope you got some value out of this, and it would be nice to see you in the next video. Bye bye.